And he made little things. On the tiger's tail, you will notice, Doug, that there's a little space, a funny space. That's the only thing I ever saw him where I know he messed up right there. Because he went a little bit out of color here on the tiger's tail, if you see it. That's the only flaw I ever noticed on this guitar. Now, Jerry's sweat was caustic. His sweat rotted everything he had. And so, that was the main thing. You had to wipe his guitars down as soon as he wasn't playing them for a second. You wiped the string, you wiped everything off of him. Because you see this green patina, they call it now. He's all over this thing. He only played it one time, and it was just like that. Green all over. We would then clean it. We used to use polish on it a little bit, but not much because we just strictly did a white job on this thing. Every gig, what would happen is there was an old problem with Stratocasters in the old early days where whenever you turned the volume up, you lost your tone. And so people were trying to invent things all over the city to curb that problem. The guy had a thing called an ice cube, remember that? An ice cube? You stuck it in the Stratocaster and it's supposed to boost that problem and fix it. It was an innate problem to what do you call it, potentiometers in here when you turn them, and how they were affected by the DC current in the guitar. So it was impossible to fix that, but Jerry wanted a preamp built into it, and he reinvented a preamp that was just tiny. It was unbelievable. Nobody ever did anything like that, man. And he cut the thing down to a little square, and he mounted a little amp in here, and so it needed a 9-volt battery. So it was so perfect that we had this compartment in here, and Doug knew that we probably wouldn't do that, so because we had done that as a rule. And this became the epitome of our electronics in the guitar. And every gig, I had to change that battery, of course, because it never would run down, but we didn't want him, that's an excuse, that's, probably just show the battery, right? Because how often if a pedal, as you guys know, in those days we didn't have all the plugins, so we had to rely on the 9-volt battery, and all we had, we didn't even have testers for the batteries. We touched it with our tongue, see that even juice. And I can tell you exactly to this day how much juice is in a 9-volt battery on my tongue. And because when we later got meters, we did not even have, remember this, we didn't even have tuning devices. So when those guys took LSD and tried to play, they were lost up there. That was the worst part of the acid test of all gigs where there was acid, because they couldn't tune up because they only had the kick Ben's organ, and you had to have an A, and it was really difficult to tune in those days. So when we got tuning machines, what a boon that was to all of us. And Jerry could really show me how to tune his guitar, right? And he was very particular about how you stretch the strings out. And he taught me exactly how to do each string, and how to tune it, and how to stretch it, and how to take care of his particular instrument for him. So this guitar never left our side, and nobody, like I say, ever touched it but me and him. Grandma, of course, too, and Irwin. But one time the police tried to arrest me for stealing this guitar because they saw me taking it out of in New York City. We came back from a gig, and I was taking it out of the truck and going up to the hotel. And a bellman, I had a Hell's Angel with me, and bellman just saw that patch and he thought we were stealing the guitar, right? So the cops, Jerry's girlfriend at the time, called me. She said, man, the police are all outside the hotel. They're all in a big mass out there, and they're asking about the truck and all this stuff. It was 8 in the morning. We just started a gig. It was Jerry Garcia band. I went down there and I said, what's the matter? And they said, is this your stuff? Open the back of this truck. And we opened it up, showed it to him, and he said, you stole the guitar out of here. The guitar was stolen out of this truck. I said, what are you talking about? He said, Bellman reported it, stolen, And I said, no, it isn't. And they finally believed me, and they were going away, right? But then one cop said, wait a minute, that truck is impounded, because it had been impounded a couple of days before, and we bailed it out. And I had what do you call it, the receipt for getting that truck out. And I had it up in my room in the hotel, but no one knew I had a big fat rose sitting next to my bed, right? In the St. Regis Hotel in New York. So the cops all followed me up to my room, and I said, you guys wait out here, and I'll show you the receipt. And I opened the door, and he saw this guitar in his case, and his case had a Grateful Dead sticker on it. And he said, the officer said to me, wait a minute, what band is this? And I said, it's Jerry Garcia, Grateful Dead, you know. They said, oh my God, oh, we're so sorry we bothered you, man. Oh my God, they were all deadheads, right? And I said, wait a minute. And I took that receipt and I said, look at this damn thing, will you? You've hassled me, woke me up. So crazy things like that would happen, and that truck would get towed, and you could never go to Jerry and say you lost this guitar. So I slept in this thing every night in my room. And for years and years. And when I had to give it up for auction, it was very hard thing for me to do, but I was so worried about it being locked up and put in a case, you know. And so doing this tonight, I used to take it out to Fillmore and other places around and let people look at it and talk about it and the wolf, and it was just such a wonderful thing to see what it meant to everybody, and so iconic to Jerry's playing. And when I saw Mr. Peavy had brought it out again, and he was looking at it with such love, it made me cry. And yeah, and you know I cry easy, Cameron. And
I'm here for you, brother.
Right back here, if you open this one up, that's where all you get at the guts right here. So Doug was a very smart guy. He didn't play guitar, but he really knew how to listen to what Jerry wanted and to make guitars for people who really loved it. Now this guitar had an exact twin made of these Cocobolo and Bird's Eye Maple from the same piece, and that was a bass guitar that Irwin made for Pete Sears, and that's called a Dragon. It has a beautiful inlaid dragon that goes all the way up, but the wood almost matches exactly. And that is how I found out from Doug at that time, he was making that the wood from this came from an opium den in San Francisco, because the headboard of an opium bed was made of Cocobolo car, and he was smart enough somehow to get it from another guy who had retrieved the wood from that place. And he knew the history of wood and all about it. Now, if you notice this, what an amazing thing it is to put a strip of Cocobolo in between Bird's Eye Maple. He had to be so work on this neck for so long. He would build the neck first, and you would see it. You'd come in the shop there, and you'd see it, you know, in a vise in the table, and he would work intricately on laminating all this stuff. It was unbelievable to see somebody do that, to make a guitar like this, and that you realized it was so special. And he was living, after he left Alembic, he lived in Sonoma across from Train Town. The place isn't there anymore. It was just a little cabin, and he lived in there. It was just a workshop, and he slept on the floor and all that. And he had so many problems in his life, you know. And years later, when Jerry had already gone on to playing Rosebud a little bit, he would always come back to Tiger. Tiger always went with us everywhere, because in case anything happened to any other guitar, it was always Tiger as a rescue unit. And so when it came later on in life, and he married Deborah Coons, he called me up. He said, "Steve, can you come with me to the lawyers and witness my will?" And in the will, he wrote something that blew my mind, because Deborah had the whole thing set up for what she wanted. She wanted to change all the stuff in his life, but he put a couple of things in on the last page. And the very last thing said this simple line. It said, "Both of my Doug Irwin guitars, the Wolf and Tiger, will go back to Doug if I die." And I was shocked to see that. I said, "Jerry, are you serious? You know, you want to give these back to Doug?" And you know what he said to me? He said, "Steve, think about it. You know what these guitars are going to be. They're going to be like Stradivarius guitars. They're going to be in museums. They're going to be so amazingly looked at." He knew that about this guitar, and he knew that about the Wolf too. And he said, "Look at Doug. He's a mess. He doesn't have pots of piss in him. His shoes had holes in them. His clothes were full of holes. And he's the artist that made these things. If I give those back to him, maybe you know, I said, Jerry, he'll just sell them. I said, yeah, but he'll get the money for it, and that's what he wants, you know. And I thought that was an amazing thing, and it blew everybody's mind. And, you know, when the guys in the Grateful Dead heard that they were to go back to Doug, they wanted to know why. And, you know, it took me a while to explain to them what Jerry wanted, and they did finally acquiesce to letting that be. But it took a while for them to realize it. Now, the reason I felt good about saying that is because the wolf, when Jerry asked Doug to make the wolf, he pulled out a checkbook from his back pocket and he wrote Doug a check for $200 to start that project. Then the next time when Doug had the body done and some more stuff, he came back and Jerry wrote him another check out of his own personal account for the second paint on the wolf. And it was something that he liked to do, you know, because he wanted it to be his. And the Grateful Dead was wonderful. They bought everything that they needed. There was never anything about that. You got whatever you wanted, tool-wise or instrument-wise. But when it came to this guitar, he knew what it was about. And so to give it back to Doug was an ultimate act, I thought, of selflessness, and that's how he was about it, you know. And he always said that, I would say, you know, he once told me, he said, there's a million guys that play guitar like me, man. And I said, okay, but I've never heard one, you know. And he said, there are, trust me, there are. And he was so humble about himself that he didn't, material stuff meant something very different to him. So any kid that came around and wanted to play guitar and came to our studio, Jerry would tell me to go get, we had lots of Strats and other ones that we had from different stuff. We bought all the newest ones we could. We foolishly didn't buy enough of the old ones, but we did buy, there was a place where we bought all our instruments at Leo's Music in Oakland. And Leo was our great friend and our mentor. He was the first guy that let us take equipment and then we could pay him on time for it, right? So we loved him. We walked into Leo's Music in Oakland, and Herbie could tell you, and he worked for Santana. It was wall-to-wall people all screaming, playing guitars. When he saw me and Ramrod come in there, or somebody like Herbie, he would stop and take us right away. Come here, come up here. You know, he knew we were buying in bulk, and everybody loved Jerry and Grateful Dead. So we would go in there, and there were unbelievable old guitars, you know, that people played one time, and left there, they were $200, $250 for a 57 Strat or something, and we didn't have that much money, man. We wanted to buy them, but Leo would try to convince us. Well, there was a guy named Glenn Kwan was his name, and Glenn Kwan was actually one of the guys that invented that ice cube I was telling you about to boost the tone on the Strat. And he also was building pickups himself and doing other things and accessories for guitars. So he heard about a place in Los Angeles that was a hi-fi store. That's what they were called in those days. It was 1971. And he went down there to LA, and the lady had shut the place down when her husband died and closed the store up. But Glenn knew that before it was a hi-fi store, a stereo store, it had been a music store. And everything from the music store was upstairs. So he went, and there were brand new 58, 57, 55 Stratocaster Fenders, never played, with the tags all on them and everything. And he bought a couple of them, and each one was $1,200, right? And we kept those at the studio, and some of them were never played. And then we were on the road, Jerry was playing the Tiger, and we were doing a gig at Laguna Seca with Los Lobos. And he said to me, bring out the Strat, bring out that 58 Strat. I knew exactly what he meant. That was never touched, never played. I still had all the tags on it. So I cut the tags off it, and I got those tags to this day, because they were all old Fender tags that are so cool, you know, from the 50s and all the shit about them. And we got to the gig, and he was playing the Tiger that day at sound check, and then he was sitting down on the stage, and he said to me, Los Lobos started a sound check, and he said, get that Strat out. Go get that Strat, Steve. I said, you want it? You're gonna play it? I was so excited to see him play a Strat again after all those years and go back. And he said, I handed him the Strat, and he said, go get David Hidalgo over here, right? And I went over and I got Hidalgo, and I brought him over to Jerry, and Jerry gave him that Strat, man. I was shocked, but that's the way he was about his guitar, man. And if he felt that somebody could do something with it, he felt a certain thing with him and Hidalgo that I can't explain, but you can figure out some of the things about it. They were similar, but he gave him that guitar, and he was really loved it. And I hope he still has it. I've seen him once or twice again, but I forgot to ask him, but I'm sure he does. But Jerry was like that about his guitar. And so when he put that in his will to give this back to Irwin, and it was very shocking to all of us, but this guitar too, initially he started paying out of his own pocket for this guitar. Now the Grateful Dead did make the last payments on it, but they were gracious enough to let it go to Doug and realize that it was what Jerry wanted. And when I had to take them out and clean them up for the last time, and they went to auction, I was, really felt that who else could ever play these things? But then tonight here, seeing other people play them, that's a beautiful thing. You playing them, or anybody who can play guitar and play this. Doing that, Mr. Peavy, you have won my lifetime emotion.